Okay, straight away we will go into the topic and we will discuss. Maybe like interaction also halfway we can do. Okay, mostly because of agronomy as well as meteorology background, I thought this particular topic may be of some information to you. I will give some of the reading materials also so that you can understand the topic very well. So, climate resilient agriculture. Often we heard this term climate resilience, adaptation strategies, mitigation strategies, and all those things. So, to start with a positive note, from a food starving nation to food surplus nation, we have achieved a lot. If you see our food production, last year it is 329.6 million ton. Okay, almost 6 times of what we produced during 1950s, right? Not only in food grain, in all arena, if you see vegetables, egg, milk, whatever, we have increased our production multiple times. Okay, so these are all came with uh, prolonged research effort as well as technological advancements. But with that, some negative effects on the resource base also do happen, isn't it? We can't produce much without harming the environment or the resource base. So those things we will discuss, right? So if you see the statistics, 1950 we were really scarce of food grain. Then slowly, with the help of Green Revolution, we became self-sufficient kind of thing. In 2010 onwards, our agriculture exports also significantly contributing to the GDP of our country, right? So, to achieve the sustainable goals set by the United Nations Organization, there are 17 sustainable development goals. If you want to achieve all these things, very first goal, you see, no poverty. Poverty comes with food scarcity. So, if you want to feed everyone, you have to produce more, isn't it? Moreover, this to achieve all these sustainable development goals, agriculture is very, very important because major resources are being diverted towards production of agricultural commodities, right? 30% of the energy consumption goes for agriculture production. 33% of land use, one third of our land is under agricultural cultivation purpose. And 70% of our groundwater withdrawals goes towards agriculture production. So it is a very, very important occupation in the world itself because everyone has to feed. So to achieve this, the agriculture production has to keep on increasing because our population is growing and there are some dietary changes which makes per unit production more energy intensive than what in other system like vegetarian versus non-vegetarian. To produce a kg of meat we need 3 times more resources that of vegetarian food. One thing goes, it's a rough estimate. So to produce more of non-vegetarian items, we have to use more inputs, isn't it? Like that, then food grains are being diverted for some other purpose. Recently, in order to keep the sugar prices in a optimal level or to avoid the spike, government has stopped using sugarcane juice for alcohol production because now we are blending alcohol with petrol. Up to 11% blending we achieved, right? So earlier only through molasses sugarcane factories can produce alcohol. But some years back they relaxed, even sugarcane juice itself they can divert for alcohol production. So because of this particular ban recently, so the alcohol, they could not produce enough quantity of alcohol. When they approached the government, they told you use other grains for alcohol production. But recently they again revoked, means you can use the juice again. So at that time, the maize is being diverted for bioethanol products. So what happens? Your poultry feed shortage will be there. There is indirectly the system gets affected, right? So those kind of things are there, and losses during production and transportation. Our post-harvest losses are so huge, almost 25 to 30%. Each and every commodity, we are losing our post-harvest. And one more thing, this chart earlier presentation also we explained how the population growth is keep on growing in developing countries vis-a-vis the developed countries where the population almost stabilized. And per capita energy intake also, developed countries are having much higher intake compared to developing countries. So we are supposed to produce more to feed our ever-growing population, right? So production of cereal also we have to increase by 2050 if you want to meet the food demand of the entire globe. you have to produce more. So these are all the challenges. One more challenge is resource diversion. Our fertile lands are being diverted for non-agricultural purposes. This photo you see, what you are seeing, a thermal power plant in front of a fertile paddy field, isn't it? These things are paddy field. Somewhere near Viruthachalam, you see. So somewhere, so for these things, it is being diverted. Even the drinking water problem, when a city or a metropolitan city is having drinking water shortage, every other thing will stop. No agriculture, nothing. The dams will be opened for drinking water purpose. Agriculture becomes second. Okay. Once some 5-6 years back, when Chennai was having a acute water shortage, Metur Dam was released. Water was taken to Viranam, that lake. From there, it was supplied to this one, Chennai city. Our even Kaveri Tribunal Award also, if you see, they exclusively allotted some quantum of water for Bangalore city. So those kind of thing, when drinking water comes, agriculture becomes second. So these are all the competition in the coming years we are going to see, as well as our resource base, it is getting degraded, because when we started our intensive cultivation and all, major nutrients only is the deficient in our soil. But now if you take your soil, you apply zinc sulfate, almost all soils, any part of the country, the crop will respond. Such a negative balance of zinc, not only secondary nutrient, even micronutrients, lot of negative balance, the crop starts responding. So these are all the challenges against which we have to produce much more than what we are producing, right? Then the climate change. All of you might have seen this sixth assessment report. Many of us are aware of fifth assessment report, where they will tell in terms of this many degrees increase. Here, SSP concept they have brought in. Sad socioeconomic pathways. Okay. So it starts from 1 to 7 or 8. 1 to 8, I suppose, right? So from here to this one. So SSP 1 means very, very low emission scenario. By 2050, our emissions will reach zero. Means we won't add any greenhouse gases to the atmosphere. By that time, our temperature rise will be within 1.5 degree. This is the sixth assessment report released during 2021-22. You can see. But whether this will happen, most probably it may not possible, because nobody is going to stop all the developmental activity. So the most likely scenario, what they are telling is the second scenario, like maybe up to 2050, we will continue like this. Later on, we will do lot of mitigation strategy and all internationally, so that the emissions will come down later on. So that is like we are more positive thinking, like by 2070, your emission will be zero, so that your temperature increase by end of the century may be around 1.75 degree, within that range. If we could able to do this, that is great. But business as usual approach, they are predicting it may reach 3 degree to 5 degree increase in temperature. So what it will do lot of issues. If you see extreme weather events, even increase of 2 degrees centigrade, extreme events are going to increase to at a moderate to high frequency. The confidence level, you see 3 dots, high to very high level. So it is very certain that if you are not going to control your emissions, your temperatures are going to increase. What we are realizing during early April, and what North India is experiencing now. So those things are going to happen. Our average temperature limit will be pushed for 2 degree plus. So these are all the issues they are telling. For the South Asia entire area, what they are telling, if under low emission scenario, the average temperature rise could be limited to 2 degrees centigrade. If we go for this low emission scenario, the two in high altitudes and all, the increase will be up to 3 degrees centigrade, right? So, but if it goes, then it is well above 3 degrees centigrade in the plains, up to 6 degree in high altitudes. Okay. So these are all the assessment and how it will impact the biodiversity, terrestrial ecosystem, as well as water ecosystem, all those things they are telling. Under this background, I am just putting what are all the challenges. Under these challenges, we have to produce more. So how this climate change is going to affect the food security. This one flow chart you can very well see. The climate change makes a lot of disturbances in terms of weather aberrations like drought, floods, hailstorms or heat waves, and seawater intrusion. In coastal areas, when sea level rises, the sea level increases. So that most of the delta areas which produces rice are prone to seawater intrusion. When seawater intrudes, kilometers together, the salinity level increases. Unless you have a salt tolerant rice variety, your productivity is bound to increase or decrease. Decrease. So those are all the challenges. So these events are going to affect our agriculture system, and not only crops, allied enterprises like our animal husbandry, fisheries, all those things ultimately affects our food security, right? So during 2013, something like that, this NAS, National Academy of Agricultural Sciences, they came out with a policy paper telling a brainstorming session. They came out with, we should come out with a climate resilient agriculture system for India to secure our food security, right? So they brought out a policy paper. Based on this only, a famous program, NICRA, has been started. National Initiative on Climate Resilient Agriculture. Okay. So this CRA, Climate Resilient Agriculture, actually involves adaptation as well as mitigation strategies and other practices for increasing the capacity of the system to respond to various climate related disturbances by resisting the damage. It should be able to withstand the damage, and it has to recover quickly. It has to bounce back quickly. That is the whole idea of the system. So in nutshell, they are telling how quick the system can bounce back. That's what their idea. So as we discussed, these are all the things. We will see these incidences in detail. Then we will go for what are all the practices we can do to have climate resilient agriculture, right? Drought. For our agriculture production, rainfall is very important. So drought originate from our rainfall distribution, right? So in one of the study, as published in 2006, but it is one of the basic study, like the entire central Indian region, they have taken daily rainfall for the entire central Indian region here, and they published this in Science Journal, and they could come out with results that over a period of 50 years, from 1950 to 2000, the light to moderate rainfall events are significantly decreasing. Means which is very optimal crop production, maybe 10 mm, 20 mm, those kind of things. Up to 100 mm, the moderate rainfall events are coming down, whereas the heavy rainfall events, which is more than 100 mm, they are significantly increasing. And very heavy rainfall, more than 150, also significantly increasing. So which indicates that the weather aberrations are going to stay here. It is not one-off event. One day it happened, next year it may not repeat it. So we can expect within the season there may be a dry spell and wet spell. Okay. So what we have seen last year, July, August, September, not even a single drop of rain. November, entire northeast monsoon of Coimbatore we received in November. Again December, extended rain. January, February, March, April middle, even end of April we have not received any rain. Like that, those kind of things are going to happen. So lack of rainfall, that results in drought. There are three types of drought, three or four. Four, sociological or some drought on the down the layer. One is meteorological drought. When your rainfall is deficient for a consecutive number of weeks, it is called meteorological drought. You see, so precipitation is deficient, and high temperature, high wind, heat wave, all those things happens. So prolonged meteorological drought will result in agricultural drought. What happens? Because no rain, no water to infiltrate, and soil moisture availability gets decreases. So that will result in soil water deficiency. Okay. For the crop growth in the root zone, if you are not having sufficient moisture, then agriculture drought will come. Many of the time we will see Department of Agriculture, they will announce this year is agriculture drought year. So how they are announcing, any idea? So there is a methodology. So they relate with meteorological drought, like From Indian perspective, southwest monsoon is a major monsoon season. From, if you see, June, middle of May to October, 4 consecutive weeks, if it is deficient in rain from the long term period average, then they will declare it as agriculture drought. If it is other than this southwest monsoon or this window, 6 consecutive weeks, there should be deficiency. Meteorological drought, what we categorize, if it is 25% shortage from less than 25%, it is normal year. From long period, long term average, our rainfall deficiency is within 25%. That year is called plus or minus 25% normal rainfall year. If it is more than 25% and less than 50%, it is called moderate drought. The deficiency is more than 50%, only half of the rain we received, then it is severe drought year. Like that, they classify. So, prolonged agriculture drought will result in hydrological drought because there is no sufficient water in the soil and in the small streams, riverlets, and rivers. Ultimately, your water bodies also will not have sufficient water because coupled with high temperature and evaporation, and you are using the water for irrigation and all, over a period of time, maybe in 6 months or 1 year or 2 years, that will result in hydrological drought. So, this general administration, our government and all, they are very much worried about hydrological drought rather than our agriculture drought or meteorological drought. Any state government, for that matter, central government. For example, Karnataka this year, most of the districts are drought affected. They are hydrological drought. So they will go for supplying of drinking water, fodder for the animals. So they are having a protocol and SOP, standard operational procedure. The district collector is having lot of powers. So once this come in, he will just order, you do this. Make arrangements for drinking water, fodder for the cattle, all those things. We can talk 1 hour for drought itself. So many things are there. Okay. So type of drought in case of agriculture. All this dryland agronomy you might have studied. Early season, mid season, late season. Early season, at least if you are having a contingency plan, you shift your crop to some other crop. To certain extent, we can save. Mid season, if you are having any foliar application, some drought tolerant varieties, those things only can save the farmer. Terminal drought, again, if it is a short duration variety, it can escape. Otherwise, at the maturity stage, we are having a lot of issues. Okay, especially cotton hybrids and all. Central India, they are growing 180 days, 200 days duration, but only 100 days rainfall, moisture availability. End of November, no moisture in the soil, but the crop will be up to January. So how it will sustain? So we have to have proper crop duration as per the moisture availability window. Okay. Is it boring? Then I will rush through. Is it okay? Okay. So if you see the history of droughts, so many years in India, and if you see the probability, some of the western states are inherently chronically drought prone. For example, Rajasthan and all, you see, once in 2 years, assured drought because of their geographical location. But Eastern India, it receives lot of rain, 1500 mm on an average. Only the distribution is an issue. But our Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, part of Maharashtra, and this Gujarat, Kutch region and all, they are prone. So the frequency we have put here, you can see. Actually, CRIDA has done lot of work on these aspects, lot of documents. You can see lot of papers which will give a clear-cut outline. Okay. So you note down 2009 is a drought year here. You see 2009 again a flood year. Our Prime Minister once told, it is very unfortunate for our country. In the same year, we are giving compensation for flood as well as drought relief. So South India drought, North India or Eastern India flood. So those kind of things because of our geographical landscape, right? So lot of impact. Similarly, cyclones. If you see, Bay of Bengal is having more frequency of tropical cyclones compared to Arabian Sea. Normally the ratio is 4:1, but now it is changing. It is not 4:1. So many cyclones from Arabian Sea also now. Okay. So if you see in the east coast, Orissa is the worst affected state where I served for 8.5 years. I had experience of two cyclones as well. So if you see Orissa, followed by Andhra Pradesh and our neighbor country, Bangladesh. So most of the cyclones will originate in the very same hall. Dr. Rajendran, Professor Rajendran sir, he was telling. Actually, our professor, Dr. Rajendran, he is so interested in delivering the lecture. He will narrate as if that is happening in that moment. He was telling those days, All India Radio only will tell where the cyclone originates, where it moves. The students, they are announcing today it is coming towards Chennai, Chennai, Chennai. Then next day they told Andhra, ultimately it gone to Orissa. Like that, he used to explain in a very vivid way. So those kind of things, you see, most of the thing may originate here, but end up in Orissa or Bangladesh like that. And even few cyclones are very peculiar. It will start in the east coast, it will go to the west coast, again come back. You see this one? It started here, went through landfall, then again Arabian Sea, then came in. So some peculiar things. If you read this, IMD1 document is there. So many things. What is the frequency and all those things. In case of West Coast, Gujarat is worst affected. Most of the cyclones, though it starts in the south, it goes to Gujarat. Sorry. So this I have already explained. So either in May or in November, most of the cyclones are happening. Similarly, hailstorms. Hail is solid form of precipitation, isn't it? These occurs more at the maximum 10 to 15 minutes. But the entire area, the agriculture produce will be devastated. Crops like grapes, fruit crops, tomato, all those things. In matter of 10 minutes, the entire season gone. That kind of thing. The main problem is even nowcasting is not going to help the farmer. It is going to hailstorm is going to come. What they will do? They can't do anything. So that kind of thing. These are the very frequently hail occurring area. Vidarbha region and some part of Madhya Pradesh and these areas. And this Maharashtra is, you know, these grapes. That is the most affected crop in this particular this one. So similarly, heat wave conditions. For example, in Orissa, March, April, we will have summer rise. So that time, if your temperature increases, if your crop coincide flowering phase or grain filling, then quality goes. So like that. I can take up to 4 o'clock, ma'am. Okay. So when high temperature stress is there, what it really do is it affects all physiological normal functions. Okay. Normal protein synthesis will be affected. The cell membrane will become more fluid. Normal cell function won't happen. So it will result in injuries and underperformance. Your Q10 after some time, quotient 10, it won't work with very high temperatures. So that is really a problem. Then seawater intrusion should be the proper title. Just to dramatize, I have put tsunami because during 2004 I was in Andamans when tsunami happened. So we had one project also for India and Maldives. So much of impact. Plantations, seawater has come inside kilometers together, all gone. Even mangroves, which were known for salt tolerance, which were staying inside the ocean. See, these species are like in ocean, you see, seashore, there will be always two level of tides, high tides and low tides. These trees are located in low tide areas. When low tide happens, it is in barren condition. When high tide comes, saline water will stagnate. So in a day, there will be 4 cycles, 2 high tide, 2 low tide. Alternate 6 hours, it will get aeration. But because of tsunami, this is permanently waterlogged. So then all started within matter of 1 month, 1.5 month, all gone. So there are so many species diversity, but there are some species which will withstand full stagnation as well. But their nematophores will come out above the water surface. So those kind of things, we made some publication also. And district level vulnerability for climate change, CRIDA, once again they mapped each district. If you see all these districts, which really depends on groundwater for irrigation, those districts are highly vulnerable for the expected climate change. Even at the end of century, you see, In the end of century, almost all districts of Rajasthan, many districts of Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and many northern states where groundwater is being used for irrigation are highly vulnerable. Okay, we are also in vulnerable position. Sorry, we are not having much better position. Like we are always in disadvantageous position, right? So even the modeling studies and all, they project all the cereals will have either in normal season or summer season negative impact only on the yield. Only one crop, mustard, is showing some sort of positive thing, but other than that, most of the crops they are going to lose their yield potential under the expected climate change by middle of the century or end of the century. So our Ammayapan also did partly like this with sorghum. So then we will come to climate resilient agriculture. So here the three concepts. One is food security, another one is adaptation strategy, another one is mitigation strategy. Mitigation strategy, individuals cannot do much. Governments, internationally, they should have some treaties so that they can bring down the emissions to certain level. So mitigation, but within agriculture practices, what are all having mitigation effect also we can include. But mainly the concentration will be on adaptation, means coexisting with the changing climate, how to coexist and produce more. That is what it is aiming to build the resilience and the capacity of the agriculture and food system to adapt to the climate change. Okay. So it focuses on judicious and improved management of natural resources, both soil, land, water, all those things, and focus on implementation of best pet technologies, means best farming practices. We are calling it in many names, integrated crop management strategies, or some are telling us eat cotton, right, like that. So many names they are giving, but the aim is you have the best one, which is more resilient as well as more productive. So then climate resilient agriculture practices are crop and location specific. No one size fits all. You can't recommend one package for the entire country. We are so unique. It should be a location specific one. Okay. Right. So there are many options. We will concentrate on few options because each one are one lectures. Okay. So one main thing to have climate resilience, you breed a tolerant variety or a resistant variety. Tolerant variety may be more appropriate term because no varieties are absolutely resistant to any of these weather aberrations. So tolerance. Okay. In elementary book, you might have seen one flow chart, drought, escape and avoidance. Both the things they are going to use for these purpose. Then we will have best agronomic management practices, natural resource management, then proper agro advisory service at finer scale. Then you have proper contingency plan, then crop insurance. All these are all small points we will discuss. So generally, if you see for a tolerance breeding, they will look for a tolerant genotype, which will be a donor parent. Once you identify that, then you will have your popular hybrid or variety. You can transfer this tolerance to this best performing variety or hybrid. So that is the strategy. So they can use conventional breeding methods or molecular approaches. Now they are telling CRISPR-Cas, very easy to cut any particular sequence and do. So private companies, international organizations, they are so quick. Rice and all, they are telling the genome is already sequenced. They know each and every point where to cut, where to add. So much of work is going on. Okay. So realizing that importance only, how important the germ blossoms are. So internationally, they started this particular global seed vault. Many of you may be knowing it is in the Arctic. So all germ blossom banks from our India, NPPGR is having major germ blossom collection. China, USA, every country contributed whatever they had. One set they kept here. The one advantage is it is always under minus temperature. So you need not manually maintain. What we are doing in our gene bank and all, we always maintain minus 17 degree or some particular temperature manually. But anything happens to this planet Earth, somewhere something will be there. That is the concept they are doing. But they are very important for this breeding purpose. You can see here in rice itself, there are many species and diversity. So one particular N22 is Nagina 22. So it is having a tolerance for high temperature. When they crossed and they brought out a mutant of N22, you can see the performance of the crop. So it is more green, very good growth, short statured. So all those advantages breeders can, it takes only time, but with proper breeding, you can achieve what you really want. So those kind of things really you can do. Even for high temperature tolerance, the science behind that also they have demonstrated. For example, this particular genotype is highly sensitive for high temperature. At the time of flowering, if temperature exceeds particular level, your pollen will become sterile as well as the stigma receptivity will become very low. So the fertility will be so low. But this is one tolerant one. You can see how many fertile this one you are having. Okay. So they are telling among the genotypes, the anther length, width, as well as the pore length. You can see some are having pore in the apical side, some are having pore in the basal side. Those things attribute to the tolerance purpose. So here you can see, this is, since I worked in CRRI Cuttack, I am putting more on rice. Okay. Rice, the way they cultivate in eastern India, if you go from Tamil Nadu, you will never believe. This is how they are cultivating rice like. So most of the rain-fed cultivars, you see the flowering period morning, that anthesis time 9 to 10 a.m. So by the time only temperature starts rising. So with a conducive temperature, the fertilization happens. Whereas in case of irrigated genotypes, these are all long duration, Ranjit, Puja and all those things. You see the anthesis window 11 o'clock to 1 p.m. hot sun. So it is a kind of escape mechanism the genotype itself is having, isn't it? So one such example is this one. So one is for temperature, then for submergence. Most of the rice is in delta area. If there is a heavy rain for 2-3 days, submergence will be there. All of us tempted to ask why Tanjavur always rice, Nagapattinam rice, why they are not growing any other crop. If you really go now and see, then you will realize rice is the only option. They can't grow any other thing. See, those who put summer cotton now, all under water for 4-5 days. Cotton waterlogging finished. So rice is the only option, right? So even rice, when it early stage, if it get fully submerged, the plant will rot, isn't it? The newly transplanted seedlings, they will get affected. Revival will be very tough. So one sub-1 gene they isolated. It's a QTL, IRI, Philippines. They have identified and they have transferred to our normal varieties. Even our CR 1009, that also sub-1 for Tanjavur we have released from TNAU. So that is having submergent tolerance. Now up to 17 days the crop can be under water. Once water drains, it can revive. This gene is like on-off mechanism. So when waterlogging happens, it get activated. Until then, it will be just dormant. So the moment the survival issue comes, immediately it triggers. It will stop all physiological mechanism. Only for survival, barest minimum energy you spend. So whatever stored energy, the crop could able to survive 15-17 days. So after that, when favorable condition returns, you can have your crop revived. Similarly, they brought out another thing, anaerobic germination. So if they find out a gene which is having a capacity under waterlogged condition, the paddy will germinate and come out. So you imagine a direct seeded rice. So you direct seed it, you keep 4 centimeter or 3 centimeter water for 10 days together. Since your rice is having anaerobic germination, it will germinate and come. All other gramineaceous or any weed seeds, they can't germinate. First 10 days, you need not apply your herbicide, pre-emergence herbicide. We tested IR64 AG lines. So it is giving wonderful results. So anything if you add with seed, that technology is taken by farmer very straight away. You need not do any extension. You add in the seed, it reaches them. So there are many things happening like this. BT cotton, now there are issues, but they are still improving upon. So those kind of things, breeders are contributing not only for yield enhancement, for climate resilient also, resilience, they are contributing. One part, as an agronomist, we should have our management part in a more climate resilient, align our management towards that. Okay. So we will stop here like for waterlogging. Even in cotton, there are some lenticels are being formed. Some genotypes are showing some type of tolerance. So 3-4 days waterlogging, if it can survive, then the farmer need not lose the crop. That's the idea. So this is our this one. So if you want to list of climate resilient varieties in different crops, different situation, CRIDA is having this particular document where they have listed out most of the varieties. Okay. Then one important management practice our forefathers and all did, but now we changed. When we went for a tour around Orissa, even in our condition also, there will be a mixture of crops, not a single monocrop. Based on the topography, that side rainfed rice, upland rainfed rice, then red gram, this side groundnut. Even one crop fails, the other crop comes. Even our land distribution in Tamil Nadu or any matter, one farmer will have some area in wetland area, some in garden land area, some in dry land area. TNAU is having wetlands where? There. Garden land, dry land, certain area. Okay. So the ecology is divided because it gives drought proofing. But willfully we came out of those things and now we are telling we are not resilient to climate change. So these kind of things will really help us. You have to select appropriate crop, intercropping system, then method of establishment. I told you, no, in eastern India, upland rice, 80 kg per acre, hectare, they will broadcast. So instead of that, you can go for seed drill. Even you can't imagine, like our pearl millet, no, நம்ம ஓராம்பயிர் ஓட்டுறதுன்னு சொல்லுவோம் இல்லைங்களா, same way they do ploughing inside the for thinning purpose. Around 20 days, when sufficient rain is there, it is rice field. Bushing. Agronomy, there will be one question always, ICR. What is bushing? So they do around 20-25 days when sufficient moisture is there, and they will put a wooden plank and they will run over it. So rice will bend down, again it will come out. Once bent down, it won't come out. So it's a weed management come thinning strategy. So with that, you apply some of the basal top dressing dose, then you will have excellent crop. So weed management, nutrient management, everything contributes. Even small technologies, small bunding, contour bunding, then sowing across the slope. So raised bed, sunken furrow, broad bed furrow system, so many soil moisture conservation practices. So when we go for a mechanization, we should not lose sight. We have to have both land shaping and sowing attachments should be there. In high rainfall areas, they won't have any space for growing vegetables. So they modify the land, some sunken furrows, that soil will be put as a raised bed. So they can grow some vegetables. Even the farm ponds on the bunds, they will grow lot of vegetables. So rainwater harvesting, most of the rainfed areas are having the huge potential to collect the runoff water. Heavy rain, there is lot of runoff water. Within the farm, if you can collect and use for 1 or 2 supplemental irrigation, if you give 1 irrigation, you will get 50% yield increase. There are results. Okay. So like that, Eastern India, even in Andhra, if you have 1/3 of your land, not even 1/3, it is 15-20% of your area if it is under water harvesting structure. ICRISAT you visited all during All India tour, they might have taken to that watershed. They will tell no how much area they are harvesting and how much they are storing, recycling. So those kind of thing, huge potential. Then wherever you are having water, you go for this one, supplemental irrigation. Then some high rainfall areas, you are always having a fresh water in shallow depth, coastal areas and all. But if you exploit more, salt water will come. So even in coastal area, there will be fresh water. So if you can exploit through some water harvesting structure, you can have your summer season crop. So then resource conservation technologies. So RCTs, you all heard. There are 3 components: minimum tillage or minimum disturbance to the soil, then mulch. You should keep the soil under mulch material. Then you should have a cropping system where some pulse crops should be there. So these are all three main component of RCT. North India, one of the most successful RCT was rice wheat system. That happy seeder, no? So that can do both initial, instead of ploughing, it will open a small furrow, it will place the fertilizer, seed all together. So your crop will come. So you need not do conventional primary tillage, secondary tillage and all those things. Like that for rice also there are packages. Even for cotton we developed conservation agriculture practices. So then contingency plan. Contingency plan, can you explain what is contingency plan? Simple terms, what's next, like what is plan B, isn't it? So for the entire country, around 600 odd districts, ICR has developed contingency plans. If you see it is available online as well as our TNA website also, there is a link. Each district, what is the history, what is the soil type, what is the rainfall, what is the prominent cropping system, what if rain starts by July, 1 week or 15 days late, what for agriculture, animal husbandry, then fisheries, all those things they documented. Okay, so you can see around out of 623 they completed and only few districts are pending, that is during 2020. This is Dr. Srinivas Rao. Right now he is director NAM. Earlier he was director CRIDA. So they brought out lot of papers in advances in agronomy. These contingency plans, you can see this paper. All concepts are clearly explained. Same way, another one, your agro advisory service, block level, finer scale. Our MAM only started in AgroMed. So block level, medium range weather forecasting. Earlier it was every day 11 o'clock they used to give next 3-4 days what will be the weather. So that you can plan next 2-3 days what you can do like. I think still it is operational with little this one, but it is still there. So this is one such thing. When you give agro advisory at a finer scale, we can avoid losses. So then NICRA, that project I have told, no, they came out with a concept of climate resilient villages. Integrating all these technologies, they selected villages throughout the country like this. So many villages, 151 climate resilient villages, and they demonstrated. They will have a discussion in locally. What should be the thing? What should be the crop? What should be the animal component? What should be the water conservation measure like? So they demonstrated and they documented the success of these things. So very well. So ICRISAT also simultaneously came out with, instead of climate resilient agriculture, they were calling it as climate smart agriculture. But the concept and all same. So this is all about today's lecture. One NAIP project we had in our Cuttack, National Rice Research Institute, with World Bank funding, mostly for climate change related. I will just rush through, you can see. Still, no, I should not push too much. So what we did, we selected two clusters in one of district, Ganjam district in Orissa. Okay, so these districts frequently flood prone as well as upland area are drought prone. Okay, so we characterized based on standardized precipitation index and all analysis we have done, what will be the thing like. So then both flooding as well as drought are frequent in both the clusters. So we just discussed with the community, had a questionnaire, came out with what are all the strategies like. Then we mapped the resources, and even when flood comes, one Rusikulya river is there. When it overflows, how much area it will get affected. So with IARI help, we could able to map that area and all. So then we came out with these kind of thing. We will give a tolerant variety, then integrated crop management, diversifying the crop, then some animal component and fishery component. Okay, see, this is one thing where the Swarna Sabon we planted. It is crop is under water. Finally, we got this much yield. Otherwise, normal varieties might have gone. See, you see here how much rain in a single day. August month, no, 6th, 7th. August only we usually transplant. July end. So very small crop, young crop. So like that. Normally it should be like this. So you can't imagine how much. NDTV and all, they covered a lot. Orissa flood, all those things. So sometime no, in eastern India, there is a peculiar practice. Since it is high rainfall area, up to November there will be rain. After that, they will slowly cut the paddy, leave it in their field for natural drying. The water level, grain, moisture content will come down. Leisurely, January, February, they will thrash, they will take. So after harvesting, his entire crop gone. No germination. No, actually, by the time the water and all drained, field will be very perfect. So they will cut and keep it small heaps. Slowly they will do. Aram se. Aram se means very slowly. Okay. Anybody from Orissa? Okay. That's the only they are doing now. Here and all Tamil Nadu, we prefer standing crop for harvesting, no? With sickle. There they will first flatten the crop. Then they will harvest. When we ask, they are telling this is more comfortable for us. So the previous day they will do flattening. I ask tonight water rain comes, what will happen? It won't come. Like that only. So one such thing happened. They lost everything. So in this situation, if you are having a combined harvester and all, on the go you harvest, take your produce to the home. Those are all the things we should not see. Midway, if you lose the crop, it is okay. After harvest also, if you lose, so much of issue. Even you travel during that time, entire national highway, one lane they will put the paddy for drying purpose and all. Because all low-lying area, you will not get any flat area. But in that matter, Tamil Nadu and all far ahead. Each village they are having a common thrashing yard, all those things. There they will use only national highway. So those kind of things. So even summer, we can have short duration rice. You see how they are taking the water from nearby Nalla. Just small family, husband and wife. For them, a small area, they grow summer crop for food security. Like that. Even if you replace with a good variety, normal variety, you can increase yield so much. Potential is there. So like that SRI method, all those things. Even here, some places, the moisture availability is limited, but they are growing long duration crop. So the crop get into moisture stress at later stage. No, if you see here, backside is our Naveen variety, 120 days variety, exactly matured, but here just started flowering and grain filling. So by just replacing the variety, you can do lot of things. So those kind of thing, then integrated farming system, composite fish culture, all those things. Even we installed 30 numbers of shallow tube wells and distributed these motor pump sets, sprinkler sets, all free of cost to them and demonstrated. You can go for summer vegetable cultivation. So like this, you can have backyard poultry because some landless laborers and all, if you give some this one, it will generate some income. So like that, some small village resource center, most of the small implements, all those things. Actually, for review, Japanese team came. They were readily giving 18 lakhs to purchase one combine harvester also for them, but we have not taken. But it was like that. So thank you. Any questions? I'll be happy to answer. Initially, I thought of taking something from cotton. Then I thought this will be of more general, this one.
It's covering every course. Yes, anybody? You want to put forth some questions to sir? You can.
Uh, Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I want to ask that, sir, can the precision technologies can also be used in the climate smart agriculture, sir? Sir, precision agriculture tools.
Yeah. That is coming. So anything which helps to produce more. So that is always welcome. You can make more precise decisions. So lot of things. Earlier lecture on precision agriculture, no, something on drones and all. So many things are coming up. All helps in decision making. The other day, DG ICR, he was giving one talk, one function. He came for the validatory function. That is on one open course. I told no, NAM, MOOC something. That validatory function only he is telling. The most difficult decision making is taken by the farmer. When to take up sowing, whether today, tomorrow, or this crop or that crop, rain will come or not. I can invest or go low key like that. So it is very difficult decision they are taking on daily basis. Like so, it is very difficult. Anything helps to make your decision making process easier or more scientific. It is very very good.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So Assam still they start rice growing March and April, and they do double transplanting also. Initial transplanting, then again transplanting. So many diversity. Actually, I worked in Andamans for 6 years, Orissa for 8 years. Then I came here. So most of the natural calamities, drought, flood, cyclone, including tsunami, some first-hand experience. So some sort of experience like going out always helps. Really, we learn a lot. Now they will go out actually.
Sir, in Assam also we have so many submergence varieties, sir. Because usually in the month of June, July, the Brahmaputra River again floods up. So they are just developing all the varieties. Assam Agriculture University also developing all these varieties for the farmers only, sir.
I know Assam very well because CRRI had one regional station, Gerua.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that is exclusively for those conditions.
Yes, sir.
So,
Sir, then can we say that climate resilient agriculture is also location specific because it also depends on location so much and varieties?
really, it's
Yes, sir.
really location specific. But one advantage is for example, rice which is grown in part of Pakistan or Iran already is having inherent high temperature tolerance. If you bring and breed, then it will help you to have a tolerant variety. So that is what they are doing in terms of germplasm exchange and all those things. So we even within our institute, if you want to evaluate the high temperature effect, you have a staggered sowing. Your flowering and maturity should fall in February, March, April. The crop which matures in April will have different quality. So like that, if you are having different location, you bring and do, then it will be really helping. And you can learn few things what already they are doing. For example, Rajasthan, they are highly drought prone. So they designed their cropping system in such a way that mostly this jowar or pearl millet are highly drought tolerant system, isn't it? So even within a state where your particular location is highly, the frequency of these aberrations are more, we should go. Actually, Tamil Nadu, the Namakkal area, Tiruchengodu area and all, rain-fed groundnut system. Very unique system where they will grow groundnut, then castor, some cowpea, some red gram, like that. It's not exactly arranged intercropping. Sometimes they go with a replacement thing like, otherwise, after harvest of groundnut, castor will give something. So those kind of things. Kovilpatti, you can see so many things. This silvipasture, Kangayam tract, Sencras coupled with this this one, acacia, one particular species, acacia. So like that. So many unique things are there. Dryland agriculture is very, very interesting to read. So many papers. In this 2-3 papers published in Advances in Agronomy, the entire thing, it is available. Even in terms of dryland intercropping and all, again CRIDA, they published one paper from that AICRP on this one. So very good papers are there. If you want to learn about the subject, you can see that.